Imagine your deepest feelings, the ones you pour into secret letters, suddenly exposed to the very people they're about. What happens next?
Well, something like that could really shake things up quite a bit, not just for the writer, but for everyone mentioned.
Exactly. And today, we're jumping right into that scenario. We're looking at a set of private letters written by Lara Jean. Now, these were never, ever meant to be seen by the recipients.
But they get out anyway.
Right. A twist of fate sends them out, and it kicks off this whole chain reaction in her life. We're especially interested in how it affects her relationship with her sister, Margot, and this boy, Josh.
Yeah, when something that private goes public, it can fundamentally change how you connect with people, especially family and, well, potential romantic interests.
So our focus is Lara Jean's story, her experiences. We'll unpack some key moments, try to understand how her feelings are evolving and how these relationships change.
And maybe figure out how these unintended reveals really hit the balance of those connections. That's a key question, I think.
It really is.
Yeah.
We want to see how this impacts Lara Jean's world and maybe find some truths that resonate about, being a teenager, handle emotions, family stuff. Okay, so let's start with the letters themselves. Why does she write them?
It seems like writing is her way of processing things. These letters are for boys she's loved intensely, but it's like a closure ritual. She writes it all down to sort of move on.
Like sealing away the feelings.
Exactly. It's a coping mechanism, really, a way to externalize those big emotions to get some perspective, which honestly lots of people do in different ways.
Makes sense. She pours everything out, seals them up, puts them in a hat box, like a little archive of past loves, tucked away.
Should be safe there, but uh-oh.
But then the unexpected happens. They get mailed.
That's the catalyst, isn't it? The private boundary is just completely breached.
Totally. Suddenly, these super personal letters are in the hands of the guys themselves. Peter Kavinsky gets one, and maybe most awkwardly, Josh Sanderson.
Who is, at that moment, her older sister Margot's boyfriend.
Rush. Yeah. The immediate fallout for Lara Jean, just pure panic, embarrassment.
Absolutely. Her whole hidden emotional world is suddenly on display. You can imagine the feeling.
And it doesn't take long for things to get complicated. First big thing, Margot breaks up with Josh.
Right, and Lara Jean finds that confusing. She kind of connects it to Margot leaving for college in Scotland, maybe thinking it's too pragmatic.
Yeah, she seems almost disappointed, maybe. And she actually mentions wishing she could be more like Margot, who seems so put together all the time.
It shows that younger sibling view, doesn't it? That admiration, maybe seeing Margot as handling things better than she feels she could.
Definitely. And the breakup itself just throws a wrench into the family dynamic. Makes things awkward.
You bet. Holidays like Thanksgiving, which Margot usually handles. Suddenly there's this tension. Things are different.
But it's not just the Margot situation. The letter changes things between Lara Jean and Josh, too. Big time.
It does. There's this new layer of awkwardness. Definitely tension, but also some unexpected moments of connection, strangely enough.
Like after her minor car accident.
Exactly. Josh is there for her, helps her out. Despite everything, the letter, the breakup with Margot, it shows there's still some kind of underlying bond there, History matters.
Which makes things even more complicated when Lara Jean decides she needs a strategy to handle the Josh situation and the Peter situation, too.
Ah, yes, the emergence of the pretend relationship.
With Peter Kavinsky. It starts as a way to deflect from the Josh awkwardness, maybe make Josh jealous, or just create a smokescreen.
It's a classic setup for, well, things getting real. You start fake, but spending that time together, going through the motions, it often stirs up actual feelings.
And that's pretty much what starts to happen. They have these genuine moments together amidst the whole charade, but naturally it's not smooth sailing.
No, because Peter has an ex-girlfriend, Genevieve.
Right, and that adds a whole other layer of drama, jealousy. Lara Jean's not just dealing with her own confusing feelings, but also Peter's past.
And all this time, she's still trying to figure out her feelings for Josh. Those old feelings are kind of bubbling up again because of everything that's happening with Peter. It's messy.
It really is a complex web.
It absolutely is. This tangle of past feelings, present situations, how relationships influence each other. It's actually the kind of dynamic we often analyze in stories over on Mindful Moments and our podcasts, our YouTube channel that looks into stuff like this through AI audiobook analysis.
Ah, interesting. And speaking of complex dynamics, let's not forget the youngest sister, Kitty. She's not oblivious to all this.
Not at all. Kitty's quite aware in her own way. And she even has a little crush on Josh herself, which adds another dimension.
Right. A bit of sibling rivalry, maybe, or just typical young crush stuff.
Probably a bit of both, and she's definitely been watching Lara Jean appear. She seems quite intrigued by Peter.
She's observant. You sometimes forget how much younger siblings pick up on.
They really do. And Kitty plays a surprisingly crucial role later on, doesn't she?
She does, with the notes.
Yes, revealing that she saved some of Peter's notes to Lara Jean, ones he'd maybe tossed aside or she'd thought were gone. It kind of suggests Kitty sees something real there between Lara Jean and Peter. Maybe she's even rooting for them.
A little matchmaker, perhaps. But before we get to that resolution, things have to get rockier. Margot comes home.
And the truth comes out. About Lara Jean's past feelings for Josh, about the whole fake relationship with Peter, everything.
It leads to a major confrontation. Margot feels betrayed, understandably.
Yeah, that's a really tough moment. It hits right at the core of their sisterhood trust, putting each other first. All those unspoken rules are suddenly being questioned.
It's painful, but necessary, I suppose, for them to move forward.
Often is with family conflicts. You have to get through the storm.
And they do start to find their way back. There's a moment on New Year's Eve, a reconciliation between Margot and Lara Jean.
Which feels important. It shows that bond, despite the hurt, is strong enough to mend. There's forgiveness there.
And then Kitty drops the bombshell about the notes.
Right. Revealing she kept Peter's notes. It feels like a nudge, doesn't it? Pushing Lara Jean towards acknowledging what might be real with Peter.
It seems to work, because the story moves towards Lara Jean actually starting to write a new letter. But this one's different.
Very different. It's a love letter to Peter. Not a goodbye letter to put in the hat box. It's about starting something, embracing genuine feelings.
A huge step for her, moving from processing the past to actually reaching out for a future.
Absolutely. But even with that romantic development, the story really emphasizes the strength of those sisterly bonds too, with Margot finding their way back and even Kitty's role in it all.
The family connection remains central, even as the romantic plot unfolds.
Definitely. It anchors the whole thing.
So wrapping this up a bit, those unsent letters really were the trigger, weren't they? They forced Lara Jean to face her past feelings, navigate some incredible awkward situations.
And ultimately grow quite a bit. She learns about herself, about her connections with her sisters, about her own heart, really.
It just goes to show how sometimes the most unexpected, even unwanted events can push us toward discovering things about ourselves. That accidental exposure forced a kind of necessary reckoning.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? About the power of things left unsaid, or things said only to ourselves, and what happens when they accidentally slip out.
Yeah, how much are our hidden feelings actually shaping our lives without us even realizing it? Are there things we're keeping locked away that are subtly directing our choices?
Deep thoughts to consider. What might be the unspoken things influencing your reality?
Definitely something to chew on. Well, if you found this look into Lara Jean's story interesting, please do subscribe and maybe share it with others who'd appreciate it.
And if you want to dive deeper into her world yourself, you can grab the book using the link in our show notes. It's great to read it and think critically about all these themes: love, family, finding yourself.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in.